Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My husband, 34 male, and I, 32 female, live in a beach town where we both work demanding jobs. Our relationship has been rocky for the past few years, but we've managed to hold it together, until now. A few months ago, when we went out to eat at a popular restaurant in town, it was always busy during the summer, and getting a table was a hassle. One evening, a waitress befriended my husband and gave him her cell number, saying to text her if we ever needed a table. She claimed she could arrange something since it's a busy place and she wanted to help us out. My husband thought it was great and started tipping her generously every time we went there. I didn't like it and told him it was wrong, suspecting she was only doing this to secure his overly generous tips. Fast forward a couple of months, and my husband started acting strangely, staying out late, being secretive with his phone, and generally distant. My gut told me something was wrong, so I decided to check his phone one evening when he was in the shower. What I found confirmed my worst fears. There were numerous texts and pictures between him and the waitress. It was clear they were having an affair. I was devastated and confronted him immediately. He admitted to everything, saying he fell for her because she made him feel appreciated and wanted. I couldn't believe it. The betrayal cut deep, and I told him to pack his things and leave. I couldn't have him in the house anymore. A month passed, and I was slowly starting to pick up the pieces of my life. Then, out of the blue, his affair partner showed up at my doorstep. She demanded that I move out of the house because she and her children needed more space. She said it's unfair I'm using and manipulating my husband. I was shocked, as I didn't understand what she was talking about, so I asked her to explain. She claimed my husband had told her the house belonged to him and that he was letting me stay there out of pity because I was financially unstable and depressed after he left me for her. I couldn't help but laugh in her face. I told her the truth. The house belongs to me, not my husband, and that I was the primary breadwinner in our marriage. I earned more money than him. Her face turned red, and she started crying, accusing me of lying. I explained to her that I bought the house before I even met my husband. I had been working hard and saving up for years to purchase it. The mortgage and the deed are in my name. My husband moved in with me after we got married, but he never contributed to the mortgage or any significant household expenses. Looks like he portrayed himself as being more successful than he actually was. I told her to get out of my house and that I never want to see her face again. The audacity of her demands and her blatant ignorance of the situation infuriated me. So I decided to report her to the owner of the restaurant where she worked, detailing her unprofessional conduct and the affair with my husband. The owner took my complaint seriously, and she was fired shortly after. Now, my husband is furious. He's been calling and texting me, accusing me of ruining her life. He says it's not her fault that he fell in love with her and that I've gone too far by getting her fired. He believes I'm being vindictive, jealous, and cruel. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for kicking my cheating husband out, revealing the truth about our finances to his mistress, and reporting her to her employer, leading to her being fired? Husband and his mistress both crossed major boundaries. OP has every right to protect herself and her property. I think reporting her to her employer was the right move. She was unprofessional, and her actions had consequences. OP's husband should be angry at himself, not OP. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not an idiot. They both disrespected you and then had the audacity to demand you leave your own house? Absolutely not. Your husband's betrayal and his mistress's entitlement are shocking. You did what you needed to do to defend your dignity and well-being. Not an idiot. Your husband and his mistress got what they deserved. You didn't ruin her life. She made choices that led to these consequences. Your husband should be taking responsibility for his actions instead of blaming you. Stay strong. Not an idiot. Your husband's actions were deceitful and hurtful, and his mistress had no right to show up at your home with such demands. Reporting her was justified. They need to face the reality of their actions. It's not your job to protect them from the fallout of their infidelity. Update. After the confrontation with my husband's mistress and getting her fired from her job, I received a barrage of angry messages from my husband. He was relentless, accusing me of being vindictive and cruel. However, I stood my ground. I knew I had done the right thing for myself and for the principles I believed in. I've since consulted with a lawyer and started divorce proceedings. Interestingly, my husband's mistress reached out to me again. She apologized for her behavior and admitted that she had been misled by my husband. He had painted a picture of himself as a wealthy and benevolent man, allowing his poor depressed wife to stay in his house out of pity. She was shocked to learn the truth about our financial situation and about me being the primary breadwinner. She confessed that she felt humiliated and used. I listened to her, but made it clear that her actions still hurt me deeply. While I appreciate her apology, it doesn't change what happened. She asked if I could help her get her job back, but I told her that was beyond my control. The consequences of her actions were her own to bear. My husband has been trying to reach out to reconcile, but I'm not interested. The trust is shattered, and I can't see a future with someone who betrayed me so deeply. I've blocked his number and am focusing on healing and moving on. I've been spending a lot of time with friends and family who have been incredibly supportive. I've also started seeing a therapist to help process everything and to ensure I come out of this stronger. Little backstory. My aunt has always had a greedy streak ever since I was a kid. She is the type of person that will yell at a store employee because something that was advertised isn't in stock, or not at that particular store, or not on sale, and has been banned from entering multiple stores. When my grandmother was on her deathbed, my aunt had talked her way into getting my grandmother to sign her on as an executor of the will and ended up taking everything and anything that had the most value. Fast forward. My uncle was my best friend. I always looked up to him as a kid. He was a truck driver, so he would be gone for a long time, and I remember one summer he even took me with him on the road. But sadly, my uncle had cancer, and while he was in the hospital, my aunt had tried to get him to assign her as an executor of his will. But since he was quick to pick up on what happened when my grandmother passed away, he hired a professional estate lawyer that would take care of everything. If you can imagine, my aunt was not very happy and was quick to throw out a sob story of how offended she was that her brother couldn't entrust her with an important task. This went on for 2 weeks. Even on his last day in hospice, she still brought it up and was asked to leave by nurses. He passed away peacefully in 2011. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but I quickly found out why my aunt was so upset. We were all asked together at my mom's home where the estate lawyer came to tell us who was getting what. So finally my name came on the list, and I was surprised to have anything willed to me. What did my uncle will to me? Why, his rig and car, of course. My uncle's rig is a 2008 Lone Star International, which was fully loaded. My uncle's car is a 1966 Chevelle SS. My first thought was, what in the hell am I going to do with a big rig? My aunt's first thought, well, she didn't have a first thought. She just screamed and cussed at the lawyer, saying that I was too sick to have those things and didn't deserve them because I was his nephew and not his sister. The lawyer asked her to sit down and he would get to her. When my aunt sat down, she looked at me and said, "You're giving me the title to both of those." To which I laughed and said, "In your dreams, maybe." The lawyer kept going down the list, and because my uncle was a legend, he put my aunt at the bottom of the list and said to quote, "To my sister, I am leaving her my luckiest, most important dollar, because all present at this meeting will know she needs it most. To my sister, I am leaving her my most luckiest, most important dollar, because all present at this meeting will know she needs it most." And then was handed the dirtiest looking Canadian $1 coin, which was sealed in a block of acrylic. Myself, my dad, and my other uncles nearly wet ourselves laughing. My aunt, however, didn't find it that funny, and instead went into another tirade on how this was unfair, and saying she didn't have anything to hold on that was his. The day passed, and then the nightmare began. My aunt would call over and over and over, asking about the truck, wanting to buy the car. If I was going to sell the truck, if I was going to sell the car, all to which I said no. Things got worse when my aunt started saying that she wanted her car, and she had someone that wanted to buy our truck. At this point, I got extremely irritated and said, "It's not your car, it's my car, and my car is staying with me, and it's not our truck, it's my truck, and no one is buying it." A week later, I woke up and heard something, so I went to investigate, and there was a tow truck in the driveway. I quickly told the tow truck driver, who was a friend of my aunt, that if he so much as put a hand on that Chevelle, I would have him arrested for trespassing and grand theft, and then proceeded to call the police. Cop showed up and I told the police officer my side of the story. Then he went to my aunt and the conversation went like this. Cop: Ma'am, can you tell me, is this your car? Aunt: Yes, it is. He just won't give it to me. Cop: Ma'am, do you have the title of the vehicle? Aunt: No, I don't. He won't give that to me. Cop: Well, ma'am, I looked at the registration and title of the vehicle, and he is listed as the owner of the vehicle. That vehicle is legally not yours, and having it towed could land you and your friend prison time for auto theft. Aunt: Well, I think I am the one who should get the car, because he can't even take care of himself. Cop: Ma'am, it doesn't matter what you think. What matters is legal ownership, which you do not have. A week later, my aunt had attempted to take me to court for the car, which the case wasn't even put before a judge. My aunt refiled the claim again. It went to court, and once I provided a copy of the will, title, and registration, the judgment went in my favor, and my aunt was forced to pay my court costs after dismissing my aunt's claims with prejudice, meaning she can never file that lawsuit again. Then, tragedy struck again. This time, a great-uncle passed away. I was on the will, again. Can you guess what was left to me? A new car! My great-uncle's 1967 Chevrolet Impala SS, which he restored himself. My great-aunt, his widow, was thrilled that I got it, but the mood was quickly soured when she realized that my entitled aunt, her niece, really was not thrilled that I got it. This time, she stepped it up a notch and skipped the screaming and complaining and instead went to scheming. 3 days after I took possession of the Impala, she rented not just one flatbed, but 2 flatbeds. She managed to get the Impala onto the flatbed and sped off, leaving her boyfriend behind, attempting to get the Chevelle on his flatbed as quickly as he could, while I stood by on the phone with police. Police quickly caught up with my aunt and arrested her. Boyfriend was arrested in my driveway and soiled himself in the process. Her and her boyfriend were both hit for 2 counts of motor vehicle theft. Both charged and found guilty and sentenced to 2 years and 2 days in jail. Endpoints. I haven't spoken to or heard from my aunt since she got out of prison, and I have no desire to. Before she was released from jail, I filed a restraining order against her, and it has stood since then, but the last I heard, she is still screaming at store employees, complaining about money, and asking about me and the vehicles. I am still the owner of all 3 vehicles, the Chevelle, the Impala, and the Lone Star International, and I don't plan on selling any of them. I repair and build computers for a living, but more and more I've been getting into auto repair as a hobby. As I do live in Canada, I do not drive the Impala or Chevelle during winter months, but every year I always take my great-aunt, who is now 96 years old, to A&W to get a burger, onion rings, and an ice-cold root beer in the Impala, which is something my great-uncle did for her since he got the Impala in 1970. A very good friend of my uncle's, who now owns a business, actually rents the Lone Star International for me. He promised me that he would not get a single scratch or spot of rust on any single part of it, and to this day, that Lone Star looks factory new and has been all over the world. The guy that rents the truck even continued doing a little tradition my uncle did, which was to get a decal on the truck of the state, province, territory flag of the places the truck is visited. It currently has 31 state decals and 3 province decals on it. My great-aunt isn't in great health, and she has told me that she put me in her will so that I will get her cars, which are 2 of my great-uncle's first cars, originally left to her in the will, which are a 1958 Chevrolet Impala and a 1957 Plymouth Belvedere Fury, which is my favorite car. I saw the movie Christine when I was 6 years old in 1996. Ever since, I loved the car. Because she knows that I will take care of it and park it right beside the 67 Impala SS. I can already imagine the fallout I'm going to get for that, so there may even be another post, though I really do hope there is not. With that restraining order in effect, and if it is still in force when your great-aunt dies, your aunt won't be able to be at any meeting with the lawyer that you are at. If she shows up and refuses to leave, bam, that's a violation of the order. You should buy your great-aunt a little die-cast model of a classic car and have her put it in her will to the entitled aunt. Can you imagine the smugness on her face when she'll hear, "To the aunt, a fastback Ford Mustang. only to be given a little Hot Wheels car. Wow, man, that's awesome. Her greed sent her to prison. Good. She deserved every day of it. If she pulls her crap again, she will go back to jail, and I'm going to assume for an even longer time, which she will of course deserve. Keep standing firm. I, female 38, caught my ex-husband, male 41, having an affair the same week that I found out I was pregnant. The blow was devastating. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Should I get an A or should I stay with him for the sake of my baby? I decided on getting a divorce and keeping my baby. Ex-husband asked for a second chance, but it just wouldn't do. So he moved out and in with his affair partner, female 25, within the month. I also started a new job with better pay, but more flexibility. Now I'm becoming a single mother. But I had to work my butt off in the beginning to establish a good reputation before maternity leave. When I gave birth to my baby, female 1, I was back at work after 3 months. Being a single mom with a career was not an easy task. I hardly slept or ate for the entire first year. I lost all my baby weight, plus 15 kilos more. That's 30 pounds for you guys. My ex-husband and I have shared custody, but since she's still a baby, we are waiting for the every other week arrangement until she's 2. But he visits to see her 2 or 3 times a week. Mostly my mom or the nanny receive him. I just can't bear seeing him so frequently, especially when he brings his affair partner, now fiancé, with him. The few times I met him, he looked very oddly at me, asking if I had changed my hair or complimented my dress or something. Yesterday, we had my baby's first B-Day party. It was just the family and we held it at my ex-in-laws, with me, ex, his fiancé, his sister, and his parents. Ex-husband was very irritated for some reason and just was there sulking the entire evening. After the cake, his mother asked him why he's acting like he did, and he said nothing. When I asked him if he was okay, he flew at me. He started yelling, telling me that I was the one who broke us. If I didn't let myself go and took care of myself half as much as I'm doing now, nothing would have happened. Everyone was shocked and he stormed out in tears. I know what he said was a load of BS, but it kept me thinking nonetheless. I have always been modest and rarely wore makeup. My style is basic black t-shirt and jeans, but I would never say that I let myself go. I do look different now and wear dresses and more feminine clothes occasionally, but I wasn't aware that I have started taking care of myself more. I just feel happy and at peace with myself now, and maybe unconsciously trying to look nice because I want to start dating again. I feel guilty that he thought I was neglecting him. If I was, it was never intentional. And besides, even if I have started taking care of my appearance now, I couldn't look 13 years younger. The advice I'm looking for is if I just should continue ignoring him or talk to him about his little tantrum. If I need to explain myself and how to move on from this. He's staying in my life. I don't want any of these tantrums thrown at me in the future. So, he's trying to blame you for him cheating? Girl, tell that man to duck off. How dare he? Marriage is about being there during all stages of life, not just for the good parts. He regrets cheating on you and thus being the reason for you divorcing him, but decided to blame you for it nonetheless. Also, for this man, looks are more important than personality, and he can't bear it that you're better off without him. Update. Thank you for listening to all my woes. Sometimes, when you're immersed in your own problems, you forget that there are others who has gone through or are going through similar experiences. I mean, my family has been so supportive, but I'm glad I dumped my crap here because, let me tell you this, I have realized that I have been so naive and need to do a lot of learning about parenthood and being a single mother. I can never plan or control everything in my baby's life. I can only try. And whatever I do, there will be a lot of surprises and things that I haven't expected turning up happening, and it's fine. There's also no one right way to raise a child. I tried so hard to make things perfect because of the guilt that I couldn't give my baby the life I thought I could give her. I can't control or change my ex-husband, and I don't even think I have any right to do so. I can only change my life, and right now, he's being toxic, and I don't want that. I need to cut the cord and go no contact completely with him. I don't know why he's being like this, and I'm not sure it would make a difference if I knew the reason. For both sake, I need to distance myself. We have shared custody, but because of her small age, she will be living full-time with me the first 3 years. That was the agreement. He will from now on see her at his parents' houses instead of coming to my place several times a week and stay as long as he wants. He is never allowed to talk to me outside of the subject of our baby, and only via text. Nothing about us, me, my looks, my dress, neither the positive or the negative will be tolerated. For him, I'm a stranger now, and he has no right to do or say any of the things he's been saying and doing since the divorce. I have told him all of this via email because I don't want to see him. He asked to meet me, but I refused. He has written back that he understood and will keep away. He also apologized for stepping over the line. He just still saw me as his family, and he was hurt. I didn't answer. I hope everything is fine now and that he behaves. I also need to rid myself of the resentment and bitterness that I feel towards him. I loved him, and I still do, and I am so angry and hateful towards what he's done. But this is life. People change and fall out of love, and it's okay. I need to move on. So, I didn't think there was anything coming in the mail anytime soon, but I wanted to see if there was anything new. I first saw the gift he got me, which was a thoughtful one, then saw a second, very similar one that I did not receive. I looked at the order details, and it was sent to a female friend of his from our hometown. To me, their friendship is very odd and crosses emotional lines, but he's always been very protective of it, so I never tried to get between them. She was also in a long-term on-again, off-again relationship with someone she almost had a child with. Sadly, the baby didn't make it, so I tried to get past it as a me problem. But it really isn't normal to give your now single female friend a Valentine's present, right? It's roses preserved under glass, like Beauty and the Beast. Even if she was lonely and lost a baby a couple of years ago, that's going too far, right? I can't tell if I'm going crazy or if the situation is crazy. To add, it's past midnight where I am, and my husband has an early morning, so while I'm definitely planning on asking him about it, I can't right now. That's why I'm looking for some perspective from you guys. Edit. The one she received had a message saying, "I love you, beautiful," while mine didn't say anything like that, though he does tell me in person other times. Hers was also gift-wrapped, while mine wasn't. Your edit hurts the most. I would just wish him well on his way back to work, and tell him he can pack a bag and stay with her for the night, since he loves her so much.